All right, everyone. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful. I am your hostess and your melanated queen, Lil Foxy, aka Seventh Wonder. It's so much coming out with these people, y'all. It's just insane. So, we have another lawsuit going on. Another lawsuit y'all filed against Diddy. And I'm going to go over that in just a moment. But let me go ahead and check my sound just to make sure y'all can hear me. I want to make sure I'm heard, y'all. Craziness. All right, I don't hear anything. Let me see something here. Uh, Okay, I can be heard. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this party started, y'all. Ooh. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. I'm gonna bring this up on the screen. Turn me up in the headphones, y'all. So y'all can see this for yourself. This is another lawsuit filed 10/15/2024, so approximately 1 month and a couple of days ago. Sean R. Paris Esquire, and this one is 62 pages long, which we probably will not cover the entire 62 pages on this live stream. All right, we have Ariel Mitchell Esquire, and we have Sean R. Perez Esquire. Now, if you're not familiar with Ariel Mitchell, she is the one that was pictured with that guy Courtney Burgess, and he claims that he had the diary and the book copy to Kim Porter's original book. He's a little questionable in my opinion, so I don't know what to say about that. But anyway, we have a plaintiff by the name of Ashley Parham, and she's actually filing a lawsuit against Khristina Khorram. Khristina Khorram is Sean Diddy's personal or assistant or manager or something like that, y'all. And they want a demand for a jury trial. This was actually filed in the Northern District Court of California. It's very interesting. In this lawsuit, we have Shane Pierce, we have Khristina Khorram, and Khristina Khorram has actually deleted her LinkedIn page, y'all. I had some notes that I was going to share with y'all, but for some reason my notes became frozen when I tried to show this, when I tried to pull it up. But if you want to see who Christina Coram is, here's a picture of her. All right. She has since deleted her LinkedIn page. All right. So Christina Coram, this is a picture of her right here. So we need to put a face to these people. All right. We can't just say that, oh, it's just Puffy. Well, Puffy and who? Puffy and Harv Pierre. Puffy and Christina Coram. Puffy and all of his accomplices. Look at him. Looking like a freaking demonic, I don't know what demon. It says Diddy said he couldn't function without his chief of staff, Christina Coram, who was allegedly so instrumental to his freak offs and alleged trafficking enterprise. She is being called the Ghislaine Maxwell to his Jeffrey Epstein. He looks sick on that picture. He looks very scary. As he sits behind bars and has been denied bail, the feds pursue their investigation into this alleged trafficking venture. This is her again. So, this is the person, this is the accomplice that's named in this lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs and Shane, I think his name is Shane Pearson or Shane Pierce. And it says John Doe's 123, Doe's 123, and Jane Doe together. defendants. Alleges as follows. All right, so the case involves S assault, battery, RAPE, S abuse, and false imprisonment and kidnapping. You know what? This is so ridiculous. Defendant KK is an employee of defendant Diddy, often referred to by the defendant as his right-hand woman. Defendant Diddy's predatory behavior was constant and was well known by several individuals, including defendant Diddy's employees, staff, friends, family, and associates. In fact, defendant Diddy's sons are being sued for engaging in the same type of deviant behavior as their father, as pled in a Los Angeles Superior Court filing. Defendant Diddy was able to effectuate his crimes and evade capture and prosecution for his crimes for almost 30 years due to his position of power and influence in the entertainment industry. Defendant Diddy exploited his position and his relationships with powerful individuals to force S acts through exploitation, fear, manipulation, physical threats, emotional abuse, intimidation, and retaliation. Had any of the previous victims of defendant Diddy been taken seriously, or had any of the abettors, like defendants KK, her name is Khristina Khorram, that's Khorram if you want to look her up. Shane Doe's 123 or Jane Doe reported defendant Diddy's actions to law enforcement. Defendant Diddy's illegal and fathomable behavior could have been prevented. Instead, defendant Diddy was able to rain his abuse and terrorism on countless victims for over 30 years. Additionally, had defendant Diddy's numerous business partners and associates not ignored defendant Diddy's deviant behavior, defendant Diddy would have been unable to continue his pattern of abuse over such a long period of time. As alleged herein, defendant Diddy abused his position of power in the entertainment industry to garner loyalty and trust from the public at large and law enforcement, while instilling fear and intimidation in the hearts of his voluminous victims. Allegations against defendant Diddy have been discarded for decades, therefore creating a failure to protect victims, like the plaintiff named herein. Unlike most victims of defendant Diddy who were employees, S workers, or individuals seeking out defendant to help launch their careers, plaintiff does not fall into any of those categories, which this is why this is a very powerful to me lawsuit, because they are not asking to advance their career. So they really didn't have any ties to him. Plaintiff met defendant Diddy due to happenstance and still ended up being brutally victimized in a similar manner as described by the others who have preceded her filing and others who surely will follow after her filing. So this is a female. Due to defendant's agreement to participate in a corrupt enterprise, plaintiff and countless other victims have been immeasurably and permanently harmed. Plaintiff alleges as follows upon personal knowledge as to themselves and their own acts and experience, and as to all other matters upon information and belief, including investigations conducted by their attorneys. Who are the parties? Plaintiff is Ashley Parham, is an individual who resides in and is domiciled in California. Defendant is Sean Combs. Defendant Diddy is an an individual who resides and is domiciled in California, also owns a residence in Florida. Defendant Khristina Khorram is an individual who, upon information and belief, resides in and is domiciled in California. And defendant Shane Pierce, defendant Shane is an individual who resides in and is domiciled in California. Defendant John Doe's 123 are individuals who, upon information and belief, reside and are domiciled in California. And then there was a Jane Doe involved, is an individual who, upon information and belief, resides in and domiciled in California. Jurisdiction, venue, timelessness, and California's S Abuse and Cover Up Accountability Act. Okay, let's get into what has taken place. We're going to skip right on in here. Plaintiff met defendant Shane in February of 2018, so about 6 years, almost 7 years ago. After an altercation with another man at a bar, and defendant Shane came to the plaintiff's rescue. While outside the bar with friends and other patrons, defendant Shane FaceTime video called defendant Diddy and was showing people defendant Diddy in the video on his phone, attempting to impress the people with his famous friend. Defendant Shane then showed, and this is why people should not be such fans and idol worshiping these people. It's really sad when people act like this. Defendant Shane then showed plaintiff defendant Diddy on his video call, which plaintiff ignored, stating she was not impressed by him knowing defendant Diddy because she believed defendant Diddy had something to do with the M word of rapper Tupac Shakur. Visible in the FaceTime call was defendant Diddy and some of his children, including his sons Christian and Quincy, who we know are not his biological sons. It appeared from the plaintiff's perspective, defendant Diddy was having a get together at his home during the time of the FaceTime call with defendant Shane. Defendant Diddy heard plaintiff's statement and made a remark that plaintiff would pay for her statement regarding Tupac and overall dismissal of defendant Diddy. So here comes his arrogance, here comes his ego, here comes his attitude. On March 23rd, 2018, so about a month later, defendant Shane invited plaintiff over to his home to assist him with his cancer medications because he stated he was weak and unable to open his medications. Interesting, y'all. So did this man really have sickness, illness, and disease, or was this a setup? Upon plaintiff's arrival, defendant Shane informed plaintiff that he wanted to give her a ride in his new car. Plaintiff and defendant Shane left his residence for a brief period and then returned. Once they returned, defendant Shane left the door to his apartment partially open and stated that the door was ajar because there was an issue with the door where it would not close completely. Defendant Shane was renting an apartment on the lower floor of a home in Orinda, California. Defendant Shane had a separate entrance into his residence that led to the backyard of the home. The home also had a main entrance on Loma Vista Drive. Defendant Shane rented the home from a woman who lived in the upstairs portion of the home and had two dogs who resided with her. Y'all, females, please be careful whenever you meet somebody and they invite you to their home. This was only a couple of weeks later, I guess a few weeks later, that she visited him at his home. And then he left the door ajar. I would find that to be kind of suspicious. And she probably should have sent her location to any family, friends. I mean, you just can't be too careful in today's time. People are really sick out here. Plaintiff and defendant Shane then began to watch a movie, and defendant Shane offered her a glass of water. Never drank anything from anybody, y'all, which he retrieved and brought back to plaintiff. Approximately 10 minutes later, after plaintiff and defendant returned from their drive, defendant Diddy entered defendant Shane's residence. That's why he left the door open, because this was a setup, y'all. Defendant Diddy entered the home in a grand, ready-to-party manner. His grandiose entrance was so loud that the dogs upstairs began barking. Defendant Diddy did not enter the home through the backyard entrance, but instead through the main entrance. He felt very comfortable. Obviously, he felt extremely comfortable. Along with defendant Diddy were his bodyguard, defendant Doe 1, a woman who plaintiff later identified as defendant KK. I feel like the bodyguard should be included in this lawsuit. Another woman, small, skinny build, early 30s with blonde, mid-length hair, who plaintiff has still been unable to identify. So everybody look at his videos and pictures around that time frame and see if you see anybody that resembles that woman. Jane Doe, defendant Doe 2, who upon information and belief is a friend of defendant Shane and Diddy and defendant Diddy's driver, Doe 3, who remained outside and in his vehicle during the duration of plaintiff's assault. He needs to be questioned too, the driver. Plaintiff believes defendant Shane invited her over to set her up to be assaulted by defendant Diddy because of the statement she made about defendant Diddy a month prior. Upon defendant Diddy's arrival, he immediately began to antagonize the plaintiff, stating that she thought she would never see him in person, pay for her statements about Tupac during the video call, and that defendant Diddy caught plaintiff. Plaintiff was in shock as she never believed that she would ever see or meet defendant Diddy in real life, let alone in the small apartment rented by defendant Shane. Defendant Diddy then began advancing towards where plaintiff was sitting on defendant Shane's bed with a knife and held it to the right side of plaintiff's face and threatened to give her a Glasgow smile in retaliation for her previous statements on the video call. Defendant Khristina Khorram told defendant Diddy that she did not think giving plaintiff a Glasgow smile would be advantageous to their potential clients who they could sell plaintiff for sex to. Again, let me point out who Khristina Khorram is, who they call KK. Okay? This is her, the person who has deleted her LinkedIn page. This is supposed to be the right-hand woman beside Puff Daddy. He said he doesn't know how he would make it without her. And we're going to read exactly what she used to be doing for them. The indictment alleges that employees of his Combs enterprise would assist in Combs freak-offs as performances put on for the disgraced former mogul that were so long and taxing that participants needed IV fluids afterward by booking hotel rooms, ordering supplies, and soliciting S workers to attend. Even before this week's indictment in the many lawsuits Combs has been hit with, Khorram was identified as one of the driving forces behind these elaborate S events, where many were allegedly forced to participate against their will. Music producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones and his complaint was thrown out. All right. So the judge actually dismissed his complaint against Combs, and his alleged enablers claimed that Khorram knowingly and intentionally participated in, perpetrated, assisted, supported, facilitated an S trafficking venture and was instrumental in organizing and executing the trafficking enterprise. Khorram was described as the Ghislaine Maxwell to Sean Combs, Jeffrey Epstein, and Jones' complaint. She has not been arrested or charged with the crime. Diddy himself has emphasized Khorram's role in his daily doings. In 2020, he wrote that she keeps my world twirling and makes sure that I smile every day and I don't go into those dark places. One way she did that, as alleged in Lil Rod's lawsuit, was by requiring everyone around Combs to carry a pouch or a fanny pack filled with narcotics so that he could indulge in his drug habit whenever he wanted. Everybody look at this face. Khristina Khorram. Khorram. Look her up. Khristina Khorram. Khristina. He wrote, Christina, aka KK, keeps everything in my life and my business running. She's been my right hand for the last 8 years and has consistently proven to execute and get S done. Don't know how I'd function without her. Khorram started with Diddy's Bad Boy Records in 2013, according to the Post review for her now deleted LinkedIn profile, before she became director, office of the chairman, and was promoted to be his chief of staff in 2020. Get a look at that face, y'all. If you see her, recognize her. Let's continue on. Defendant KK then made a threat to plaintiff that they could ship her off anywhere in the world and that she would never see her family or anyone she knew ever again. Defendant Shane then partially undressed plaintiff. Then defendant Diddy removed the remainder of plaintiff's clothing, removing the knife from her face, and then retrieved a bottle of liquid from a large fanny pack. Defendant Diddy then squirted a bottle of liquid on plaintiff, which placed her in fear that she was being squirted with a chemical substance like acid. Plaintiff soon realized the substance was an oil lubricant. Plaintiff was squirted with this liquid substance over the entirety of her naked body. Defendant KK was then told by Defendant Diddy to insert what looked like a syringe from sterile packaging into plaintiff's vagina. Sickening and gruesome. Sickening and gruesome, y'all. Who thinks of anything like this in the world to do to someone? Defendant KK did as told, and then told Defendant Diddy that she was unable to use the IUD because it had prematurely been released from its packaging. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm just pausing because I think I had read this before and or either heard about this or read it. But this sounds familiar, and this is unbelievable. It's really unbelievable right now what I'm reading. Okay, let me just take a moment for a second, y'all. I cannot believe another female would do this to another female. Defendant Diddy, upset by this, took the syringe from Defendant KK and tried inserting it into plaintiff's vagina instead. Defendant KK and Diddy began to argue as Defendant KK continued to advise Defendant Diddy that since the IUD had been prematurely released from its packaging, it is no way they could insert it into plaintiff's vagina effectively. After some time, Defendant Diddy heeded the advice of Defendant KK and removed the syringe from plaintiff's vagina and handed it to Defendant KK. Defendant KK and Jane Doe then exited Defendant Shane's residence, leaving plaintiff alone with Defendants Diddy, Shane, Doe's 1 and 2. And nobody called the police for this woman. They let her be alone with this idiotic, savage criminal. Y'all make sure y'all share this video and I can't even say to like it because there's nothing to like about this behavior. But the truth needs to be exposed. I mean, like, people are saying they don't believe, some of these victims, but who makes this type of stuff up? But then again, I mean, you just never know. This is craziness. Again, this lady's name is Ashley Parham, Parham. This is the plaintiff. Defendants KK and Jane Doe exited, okay, and left her alone. Defendant Diddy, while violently raping plaintiff with the television remote, y'all, told plaintiff that her life was in his hands and that if he wanted, he could take her and she would never be seen again. Plaintiff began hysterically crying from the threats by Defendant Diddy, along with the pain of being violently vaginally raped by Defendant Diddy with the television remote, as well as the lingering pain from the ordeal with the IUD syringe insertion. Unbelievable, y'all. This is really unbelievable. And y'all can see that this is actually the lawsuit that has been filed. Uh, Nobody is making this up. This is an actual lawsuit that is ongoing right now. Oh boy. Defendant Diddy then instructed Defendant Shane to turn plaintiff on her stomach, seemingly tired of hearing the plaintiff blood-curdling cries. Defendant Shane then grabbed plaintiff by her abdomen and hips and turned plaintiff on her stomach. Defendant Diddy then instructed Defendant Shane to put a pillow over her head because he didn't want to see her face or hear her cries, and instructed Defendant Shane to anally rape the plaintiff. Now, according to what we read earlier, defendant Shane was sick and had to take medication for cancer and was too weak to open the prescription medication, which is why he called her over to help assist him. Then, when she gets there, he says, "Oh, let's go take a ride in my new car." Leaves the door ajar when he gets back. Sit down to watch a movie, gives her a glass of water. Then 10 minutes later, Diddy shows up confronting her about Tupac. This is craziness. Defendant Shane did as he was told by defendant Diddy and began to anally rape the plaintiff. Defendant Diddy then violently raped plaintiff anally after defendant Shane. So they don't even care about a mixture of fluids and germs and disease. This is just how they get down. So obviously defendant Shane and Diddy have done this stuff before. That's what it sounds like. And they probably have been together before in this way with just the two of them, because how in the world are they this close to be this comfortable to do this in each other's company? This is sickening if this really happened. Defendant Doe 2 then joined defendants Diddy and Shane taking a turn anally raping plaintiff. Immediately after defendant Doe 2 raped plaintiff, he exited defendant Shane's residence. What was the point in that? So they all have to do this so nobody else can say, "Oh, well, you did it. I didn't do it." So they all have to have some type of culpability in it. I guess this is what is required. And Harvey Pierre, not saying that he was the one there doing this, but this is some similar stuff to what he would do when Diddy was doing his stuff. Harvey Pierre would take his turn with some of these females as well. This is how they get down. Defendant Diddy then instructed defendant Doe 1 to also rape plaintiff. Instead of immediately raping plaintiff, defendant Doe 1 doused plaintiff with more oil and lubricant and then jumped on top of plaintiff's naked and oiled body, treating it like a slip and slide and knocking the wind out of plaintiff due to his enormous size. So who is this? The bodyguard? Disgusting. Defendant Doe 1 then caught himself from sliding over plaintiff's oiled body and off the bed. He then began raping plaintiff vaginally. Okay? While defendant Doe 1 was raping plaintiff, defendant Diddy sat in a chair near the bed and began pleasuring himself while recording plaintiff's RAPE by defendant Doe 1. Where are these tapes? Where are these videos? Somebody has to have some of this evidence. Another party's phone fell on the bed near plaintiff. Plaintiff then attempted to grab the phone, but it slipped out of her hands and onto the floor due to the oil and lubricant that had been doused all over her person by defendants Diddy and Doe 1. Defendant Diddy began laughing at plaintiff's attempt to grab the phone. Throughout this violent gangbang style RAPE, defendant Diddy made constant belittling remarks to plaintiff, including that he owned her now. Plaintiff's body was becoming more and more limp over the course of the violent RAPE, until eventually she had no control over her body, nor could she move her body. When defendant Doe 1 finished raping, plaintiff defendant KK entered the room to examine the condition of plaintiff, who was barely able to move or control her bodily functions. Defendant KK examined plaintiff to see if she needed assistance and was about to give plaintiff an IV fluid. So apparently, according to what we read earlier, this makes a whole lot of sense. What did we see about the freak offs? They would need assistance with IV fluids, and she was the orchestrator of all of this. Do y'all remember? We read it in this article. Uh-huh. Yeah. Let's get into what Diddy feels about himself.
Weekend of the 14th when the soundtrack comes out. If so, bump somebody. All right, thanks. I love you, man. Bye. I got my MTV out. What's next? What's next? I gotta get it. I'm not gonna stay fucking down. I'm not gonna stay fucking lying down. I'm not. I can't do it, man. I can't do that. What's next? Give me something else. What can't you do? I can do it. I can do anything. You think I could book that for like the weekend of the 14th when the soundtrack comes out? If so, bump somebody. All right, thanks. I love you, man. Bye. I got my MTV out. What's next? What's next? I gotta get it. I'm not gonna stay fucking down. I'm not gonna stay fucking lying down. I'm not. I can't do it, man. I can't do that. What's next? Give me something else. What can't you do? I can do it. I can do anything.
And that's exactly how he feels. He can do anything, right? That's exactly how he feels. He can do anything. And let's see what he had to say in 2022.
I am the fucking hottest. Don't tell me about shit. It's 2022 and I'm still established. Whenever I want to get whatever, I get fucking
Let's hear that again, y'all.
fucking hottest in the world. It's established. Don't tell me about shit. It's 2022 and I'm still established. Whenever I want to get whatever, I get fucking
All right, you heard it out of the diddler's mouth himself. He gets whatever he wants. Let's go back to this lawsuit, y'all. Defendant KK examined plaintiff to see if she needed assistance and was about to give plaintiff an IV fluid. Plaintiff cannot be certain as she did or did not receive such intravenous intervention. Defendant KK then opened a different bag, different than the one defendant Diddy removed the oil from, where plaintiff observed several medicine bottles, IV fluid bags, and other unidentifiable powder-like drugs. Defendant KK then removed a pill from one of the medicine bottles and gave it to defendant Diddy. Defendant Diddy then inserted the pill into plaintiff's mouth and down her throat to where plaintiff had no choice but to ingest the unknown pill. Defendant Diddy, Shane, KK, and Doe 1 then exited the residence to the backyard where they smoked marijuana and cigarettes. Plaintiff remained in an almost lifeless state in defendant Shane's bedroom until she finally regained her bodily functions. Plaintiff then began looking for her clothes and her purse that contained her car keys and cell phone, but she could not discover them in the room or anywhere in the apartment. Plaintiff was only able to find a t-shirt on the floor which she put on to cover her body. Plaintiff also observed a black condom wrapper on the floor of the bedroom, which she assumed was used by one of the defendants, but most likely defendant Diddy during the RAPE. Plaintiff then grabbed a knife from the kitchen and headed to the backyard where the defendants were smoking, as that as that was the only way to exit the premises onto the street. Plaintiff concealed the knife on her left side as she exited the apartment to the backyard area. Upon coming to the exit of the home, which led to the backyard, plaintiff was met by defendant Doe 1, who was standing at the door between the residence and the backyard. By the time plaintiff was able to compose herself and come to the backyard, defendant KK was no longer in the backyard, but upstairs on the patio balcony with defendant Jane Doe. Defendant Doe 1 allowed plaintiff to walk to the backyard where defendants Shane and Diddy were still smoking. Defendant Doe 1 did not see the knife that plaintiff concealed on her left side, as it was obstructed by the oversized t-shirt plaintiff was wearing. Plaintiff observed defendant Diddy still partially nude from the assault, while defendant Shane and Doe 1 had on their clothing. Defendant Shane then left to the upstairs portion of the patio balcony where defendants KK and Jane Doe were already situated. Plaintiff then sat down on a makeshift seat in the backyard when defendant Diddy noticed her presence and remarked that he was surprised that she was able to walk because he had given her enough drugs to take out a horse. Were they trying to KILL her? Is that what they were trying to do with the drugs? Plaintiff then asked defendant Diddy what he gave her, and he laughed and did not provide a response. Defendant Diddy then made further comments to plaintiff in a jovial, friendly manner, asking her why they hadn't partied together before because it was so much fun and he hadn't had any ASS that tight in a while. Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God. This is craziness. Oh my God. Do y'all remember when Diddy asked Fabulous, hold on, about partying together? Fabolous. Hold on. On the Drink Champs. Y'all remember this?
Yeah, I love this drink. Where you put my bag? I like when you like this, Daddy. Yeah, where you put my bag? Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit. No, I got like that. You know, I've been practicing. I got yeah.
Let's hear this again.
Yeah, I love this drink. Where you put my bag? I like when you like this, Daddy. Yeah, where you put my bag? Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit. No, I like that. You know, I've been practicing. I got yeah. Yeah, Mr. Lee. Yeah, I love this drink. Where you put my bag? I like when you like this, Daddy. Yeah, where you put my bag? Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping. When you scrambling and scraping for shit. No. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna go with that one. Make a wish. Just blow it out. It's your birthday every day. Every day's your birthday on Drink Champs. God damn it, I'm in.
Where I look back on where I became.
Did you miss me though? For real, because I'm saying it seems like a thing. It's his birthday party, man. Man, but I'm talking about for your birthday. Huh? Why won't you party with me for your birthday, man?
We partied for my birthday before. You came to my party.
No, but me and you ain't never really party. You know what I'm saying? Eyes, brother. Eyes. I understand. You know what I'm saying? Yo, okay. So check this out. It's me, Tyrese, Ray J, and F. Gary Gray. You know, I'm a type of nigga, I like variety, man. I like people that's unpredictable. You know what I'm saying? I like different personalities. So I was like, I never knew they would become what they are today. But you know what I'm saying? They're like, you know, that sounded like the type of night I want to have in Vegas. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So Tyrese kept on talking. This is a Floyd fight, right? Yeah. And Tyrese keep on talking about like how you got to get back for church. And we just like, yo, the night ain't start. You got to get back for church. We in motherfucking Vegas, nigga. But like, you can go to church next week. You know what I'm saying? Sending your thing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing but we in Vegas. Don't be bringing God into this situation. Don't bring God into this situation. You know what I'm saying? F. Gary Gray is like, nigga, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Then you got Ray J. So Ray J is like just really like feeling like Ray J right now. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, don't do that.
Yeah, that's what I said. Let's pick it up. I gotta pick it up from right there. This I gotta pick it up from right there.
Look at this nigga. This is nigga. Go ahead. No, bro. Killing. No. Come tell the story. Bro, we're intoxicated.
Listen.
Oh, bro, we helping me build that beautiful, nice guy, Rastafari brand of yours, huh? Yeah.
I see you, man. I'm walking.
Yeah. Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday. It's fabulous. The only nigga that got the name that I want. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah. Let's take a shot for that, bro.
He is going to force a party with Fabulous, y'all. He's trying to force a party with that dude. That is insane. This dude got issues, y'all. Why won't you party with me? Why won't you party with me? He know what I'm talking about. He know what I mean. But you never party with me though. Yeah, quite crazy, right?
Where you put my bag? I like when you like this, Daddy. Yeah, where you put my bag? Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit. No. I like that. You know, I've been practicing. I got I'm gonna go with that one. Make a wish. Just blow it out. It's your birthday every day. Every day is a birthday on Drink Champs. God damn it, I'm in. Where I look back on where I became. Did you miss me though? For real, because I'm saying it seems like a thing. I miss this birthday party, man. Man, but I'm talking about for your birthday. Huh? Why won't you party with me for your birthday, man? We partied for my birthday before. You came to my party. No, but me and you ain't never really party. You know what I'm saying?
All right, y'all. So he wanted to party with Fabulous. So let's go back to what this lawsuit is talking about. We're on line 88, where it says defendant Diddy then made further comments to plaintiff in a jovial, friendly manner, asking her why they hadn't partied together before because it was so much fun and he hadn't had any ASS that tight in a while. Defendant Doe one then quipped at defendant Diddy that he probably hadn't had any A that tight because he's not used to having anal sex with women, which defendants Diddy and Doe one laughed at. They are sick. Plaintiff then told defendant Diddy she did not party with him and she did not enjoy partying with him and that he raped her. I don't even think she should have said anything like that because he's so imbalanced. You could infuriate him, and like that was just not smart for her to say that at that moment. Defendant Diddy did not like plaintiff's response to his lighthearted commentary and offered plaintiff money and instructed plaintiff to say that the violent RAPE was consensual and that plaintiff was a sex worker. Y'all. Plaintiff became enraged. See, she shouldn't have done this. She started letting her emotions take over. But y'all, I'm just saying, when you're in the heat of a moment like this, where her life was basically at risk, don't infuriate the perpetrator, especially when you're outpowered, outnumbered. They have, a way to basically have advantages over you. You have to use logic and you have to be smart and cunning and wise in that moment to save your life. Plaintiff became enraged and yelled at defendant Diddy that her RAPE was not consensual, that she was not an S worker, and she refused to take any money from him, and would tell the police that he RAPED her. See, she's doing too much. She should have taken money and then went to the police. That's what she should have done. Defendant Diddy then told plaintiff no one would ever believe she had been RAPED by him, and if she did tell anyone such, that they would harm her family. See, because I don't think she could find her keys and everything. Let's probably had like her identification. They probably took all of that. Defendant Doe one then showed plaintiff his phone, which looked as if it was the outside of plaintiff's estranged sister's residence, as she could see her sister sitting on the couch and her sister's spouse on the balcony. It looked as if someone was outside the residence streaming this video to defendant Doe one's phone. Y'all, they had set this up before she even got to the apartment because they must have. Okay, so what they did was they must have done some research on her family before she even got there. They had already set up cameras, had someone watching. This was all a setup. This is very dangerous. Plaintiff, while rattled by what she was seeing on defendant Doe's one phone, was still angry about being gang RAPED and was not complying with defendant Diddy's request to take the money being offered to say the RAPE was consensual. Defendant Diddy then called his mother in an effort to further convince plaintiff not to report her assault. So he called his mother. He called Janice Combs to talk to her. Defendant Diddy's mother yelled at plaintiff to not hurt her son. What in the freaking world? She's a sick, twisted ass individual. Plaintiff told defendant Diddy's mother that her son had violently RAPED plaintiff. Defendant Diddy's mother seemingly unfazed by the statement because she is very well aware of what he was doing because they are sick and twisted and demented. Unfazed by the statement, then continued her demands with plaintiff to take the money being offered and not report the RAPE to law enforcement. Defendant Diddy then made further threats that he had gotten off from bigger crimes than this and referred to Tupac again, further antagonizing plaintiff, y'all. Defendant Doe 1 then turned to defendant Diddy and pulled his gun on him, asking him to repeat what he said in reference to Tupac. As the two of them were exchanging words, plaintiff went behind defendant Doe 1, where he seemingly began to protect plaintiff. Defendant Doe 1 then advanced to defendant Diddy, questioning him over the comments he made about Tupac. During this commotion, a neighbor directly across the street came outside and peered into the backyard and asked what all the commotion was about. Defendant Doe 1 then pointed the gun at the neighbor and instructed him to mind his business and return to his residence. I hope the neighbor called the police. Defendant Doe 1 then turned the gun back on defendant Diddy. Plaintiff, not far behind defendant Doe 1, tried to grab defendant Doe 1's hand that had the gun. The gun then went off and hit a hill behind defendant Shane's residence. Defendant Diddy then ran up the back stone stairs near the hill in the backyard towards where defendants KK and Shane and Jane Doe were. Plaintiff charged towards defendant Diddy, moving the concealed knife from her left hand to her right hand and in pursuit of defendant Diddy. So she was going to try to stab him. Plaintiff then pushed defendant Diddy from behind while on the stone stairs outside, causing him to fall with his back to plaintiff. Plaintiff then raised the knife in a rage from the events that just transpired and with the intent of driving the knife into defendant's back when he turned around and began pleading for his life. So why weren't the other people helping Diddy if they all arrived together? Like, wouldn't they have gotten involved in this whole thing? Plaintiff, shocked now to see defendant Diddy acting as a victim, had a moment of clarity and then turned and ran down the outdoor stone staircase back out to the backyard to escape. Defendant Diddy then chased plaintiff down the stairs and attempted to push her, but she was already at the bottom of the stairs and gained her footing and wielded the knife at defendant Diddy, grazing his abdomen. Good for you, girl. Hearing the commotion, defendants KK and Jane Doe emerged, and defendant KK then began administering first aid to defendant Diddy for the injuries caused by plaintiff. I hope he was bleeding. Plaintiff tried to make a quick dash for the exit, but it was thwarted by defendant Doe 1. After a period of time, plaintiff was able to abscond from defendant Doe 1 due to the first aid commotion with defendant Diddy and was able to run down the street. That was a bold move. Once plaintiff made it on the street, she began yelling loudly for someone to call the police. Defendant Doe 1, who had now caught up with plaintiff, advised plaintiff that he was an undercover cop. To this day, plaintiff is unaware of the truth or falsity of the statement. That same neighbor then again emerged from his residence asking what was transpiring. Just as plaintiff was attempting to answer, gunshots began being fired in plaintiff's direction. Plaintiff fled to a car near where the neighbor was also taking cover and lost sight of defendant Doe 1. Plaintiff then heard an SUV screeching and speeding, leaving the residence. This is craziness. My thing is, why didn't the neighbor call the police? And why didn't the neighbor have a gun? Plaintiff then entered the home of the neighbor who informed her that he had already called the police. Okay, good. Plaintiff informed the neighbor that it was Sean Combs who had RAPED her and shot at them, but the neighbor was unaware who defendant Diddy was. So, all right. So obviously this person, this neighbor, let me tell y'all something. And this is a thing that people need to understand. In the melanated community, people are so fixated on like these, what y'all call celebrities, athletes, actors, actresses, musicians, rappers, singers, all this stuff. Y'all are so fixated. But there are people out here who live real lives and they are so enumerated and involved in their own lives. They don't even know half of these celebrities that y'all are fixated with, that y'all are worshiping so much. When Beyonce came to town, they shut the whole entire uptown. They shut all of that down around 3 p.m. A lot of people left work early so the streets could be cleared out for her. But I was talking to this Middle Eastern guy and I said, yeah, Beyonce's coming to town, so this is why they're shutting everything down. You know what he said to me? Who is Beyonce? Who is that? I never heard of her. This lets you know how far gone people are in the melanated community, especially because y'all are so infatuated with celebrities, which y'all call celebrities. Y'all are so far gone over these people that you don't even focus enough on your real everyday lives, your talents, and your goals, your abilities, what you want to do. You are so involved and knowing everything about these people, you hardly know what you need to know about yourself, hardly know what you need to know about your children, about your loved ones, about your family, about things that really matter in your own lives and your own affairs. If you put half this time into your own self, imagine how much more progression you could have in life. But no, people are so fascinated with these demonic demons in Hollywood. It is sickening and it's a shame. And this is why, as a people, you don't get anywhere, you don't excel. Shortly thereafter, a sheriff came from the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department, arrived at the neighbor's home. Plaintiff told the sheriff she had been violently gang raped by defendant Diddy and others, and that she did not have her clothes, phone, purse, car keys, or cell phone. The sheriff told plaintiff and the neighbor that they had received several noise complaints prior to the neighbor's call and instructed plaintiff to find a way to get home. The sheriff did not, that's weird. That is very strange. The sheriff did not offer to take plaintiff home, nor did he call for emergency services, including an ambulance, nor any offer to take plaintiff to the hospital, nor any offer to help plaintiff recover her clothes or effects from defendant Shane's residence. That doesn't make sense at all. The neighbor offered to let plaintiff sleep on his couch until she could figure out a way to get her possessions and get home, but plaintiff declined. I don't blame her, and only remained at the neighbor's residence for a short period of time once the sheriff left. Plaintiff then went back to defendant Shane's residence where she found the door open and her clothes were readily accessible in his residence. Why did she go over there by herself? And why didn't she have the officer to go over there to assist her in getting her belongings? Defendant Shane then emerged as if nothing had transpired and offered for plaintiff to stay at his residence while he slept it off. While she slept it off. This is crazy. Plaintiff asked for her purse and her keys, but defendant Shane told her she shouldn't leave in her condition, and plaintiff, catatonic and in a state of shock and disbelief of the events that transpired, stayed at defendant Shane's home while defendant Shane left the home. Why would she go back over there and stay in that place after everything that just happened? Later that morning, defendant Shane returned to the residence and woke plaintiff up. So she went in there and went to sleep and finally gave her back her purse, cell phone, and keys, and plaintiff left defendant's residence. In a daze, plaintiff returned home and tried to make sense out of what happened to her. That females and ladies, don't ever do that. Don't ever, ever, ever go back into the perpetrator's house that set you up and go to sleep by yourself without any way of contacting anyone, no way to get out. No, that you don't do that. Don't ever go back in there with, oh, that's just not smart at all. Why would she do that? On March 26, 2018, plaintiff contacted her primary care doctor and asked for an HIV and STD test in fear of possibly having contracted a disease from her violent RAPE. Plaintiff tried to continue her life as she felt she wouldn't be believed, as plaintiff already had told Contra Costa Sheriff's defendant Diddy RAPED her to no avail. Further, plaintiff was under the impression if she did continue to say defendant Diddy's name in relation to her assault, she would not be believed and her family would be in danger. Now, I do believe that. I do believe that police will, and for some reason, they will make you seem like you're not a victim or that you were not victimized. Even female police officers will treat you that way after you report something to them. Police do this. So I just have to send a message out there to females. Please be strong. If you ever go through being attacked or assaulted in any way, shape, or form, just know that even though police don't believe you, and whatever their situation is or whatever they have, if they want to judge you, continue to fight for yourself, stick up for your story, and file a complaint on record, file a police report. Don't ever not put this on record. Make sure it is on record, whether they believe you or not, because this is your story. This is your experience. If you went through it, then you have to be the one to fight for yourself. Because unfortunately, this is how females are treated, and it's very messed up and unfair. Seemingly mere days, maybe even the day before plaintiff's vicious RAPE, defendant Shane had miraculously begun driving a new car. So I believe this car may have been in exchange for setting her up. Plaintiff believes this was payment by defendant Diddy for setting up plaintiff to be RAPED. That's exactly what it was. A few weeks later, in April 2018, plaintiff, still in pain and reeling from the horrific assault, went to the hospital as her injuries had not subsided from the assault. The hospital conducted several tests on plaintiff, including a RAPE kit. I thought she already had that done back in March. She should have had that done when she went the first time. Okay. All right. She went to the hospital. Okay. The hospital conducted several tests on her, including an ultrasound and x-rays. Additionally, plaintiff was given IV fluids to stabilize her vitals as she was in a severe weakened state from being unable to eat and losing a substantial amount of weight. Yeah, since this occurred. While at the hospital, plaintiff told members of her treatment team about her horrific assault, and then they contacted the Walnut Creek police. Walnut Creek police showed up to the plaintiff's hospital room and took a statement. See, this is what they should have done the first time around. They should have taken her statement and filed a police report regarding her assault on March 23rd. Plaintiff had already told Contra Costa sheriffs about her attack and that it was defendant Diddy who orchestrated it on March 23rd, 2018, which was ignored. Plaintiff declined to refer to defendant Diddy again to Walnut Creek police because she believed she would be ignored by the Walnut Creek police, just as she was by the Contra Costa County Sheriff, and or would be further harmed by defendant Diddy if he discovered she named him to police. Plaintiff only told Walnut police about the assault from defendant Shane and Doe too. Okay. Plaintiff believes her statements made to Walnut Creek police while at the hospital was captured by police body camera footage. More than likely, they had body cameras, and they did capture that report that she made. Plaintiff further believes her statements made to the Contra Costa sheriff on March 23rd, immediately after the vicious assault, where plaintiff named defendant Diddy directly and by name, was captured by police body camera footage. It probably was if they didn't destroy the footage. And also, she should have gotten the badge number and the name of the responding sheriff. But I don't know if she did that. Plaintiff also filed a report to the Orinda Police Department on April 17th, 2018, but again was too afraid to name defendant Diddy as one of her assailants. During this report, plaintiff provided her clothing to the police from the night of the assault, but they only retained her underwear. To date, the underwear was never returned, and plaintiff believes no investigation ever commenced. Plaintiff sought assistance from therapists on May 2018, one of which tried to have her therapy appointments covered by a victim's compensation fund, which was rejected because plaintiff was told no law enforcement agency had opened an active investigation into any of her many reports of her violent gang RAPE attack. That is so messed up. Subsequently, thereafter, plaintiff asked police for a copy of a report from the Walnut Creek Police Department. Yeah, she should have gotten a copy of this a long time ago because it only takes them like 24 hours to have the report ready, I believe. On July 19th, 2018, plaintiff was provided a letter from the Walnut Creek Police Department stating that it was unable to furnish this information as it is confidential and not subject to public release, despite plaintiff not being the public and the victim of the complaint. Yeah, some shady stuff going on. In March 2024, plaintiff was re-traumatized by all of the events surrounding defendant Diddy, including the several civil complaints filed against him, as well as the raid on defendant Diddy's California and Florida residences. Plaintiff called, so she had to see him on TV all over again. Plaintiff called Contra Costa Sheriff's again in hopes of renewing her previous complaint and amending it to ensure defendant Diddy's name was included. Plaintiff received no response from the sheriff. Plaintiff in July 2024 then emailed the chief of the sheriff's office regarding her complaint, lack of investigation, and how she was treated by the initial responding officer. Plaintiff then later received a call back from a detective, but then nothing further. Plaintiff then began seeking legal counsel for her claims, ultimately being referred to undersigned for representation. Undersigned counsel also attempted to get a copy of the 2018 police report from Contra Costa Sheriff's, but was told that they would not provide the report or any other information without a subpoena. So they are really, really trying to protect this information. Mm, 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 mm. First cause of action violation of 18 USC Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, against all defendants. Ooh, I hope they get them for covering this stuff up. Mm, 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 mm. This is sickening, y'all. This is sickening. If this actually took place, the way this is described here is sickening, and I don't even know what to say. This man, I can't even say he's a man, but he's definitely, look at this. Look at this. He's unstable. He's mentally unstable, y'all.
You and I were both lied to since childhood. We were told.
We are lied to all the time in the school systems, y'all. Let's skip this. Let's go ahead.
Five, four, three, two, I
Mm, 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 mm. Don't even get me started on Jay-Z. Don't even get me freaking started on Jay-Z. Do y'all remember? Okay. Jay-Z is like also really close with Puffy. But before we get into Jay-Z, let's listen to this is the allegedly leaked phone call of Diddy from jail. Okay. Allegedly, allegedly leaked phone call of Diddy in jail. All right, and let's see if we can listen to this.
And as you're talking about, you know what I'm dealing with right now? No, Bob, I told this dude that hey, you check this out. Tell his life skin ass is gonna make a plus chance or something. You make some money. You're 30 years old and pay your own fucking cars. All of them drop some music. I'm gonna drop a new track this week. Everybody want to hear my track, like, man, you're not doing that shit. You all need to stay quiet. I told rap though, you got attention right now, man. And just do what I told you to do, and don't forget about the list. Make sure that kid's the son. All right. It's all good. You about to get out on bail. No, hey, yo, check this out. I need you to reach out to the producer and let these motherfuckers know there's a release date for that new Netflix movie. Can you reach out yet? Nah, Bob. You ghosting. I just want to do it. He's sweet now because I'm in here. It's all good. You about to get out on bail. No, hey, yo, check this out. I need you to reach out to.
So apparently, Jay-Z is not responding to any of the phone calls, and he is getting quiet.
Can you reach out yet? Nah, Bob. He ghosting. It's all good. You about to get out on bail. Justin said, what should he do about his window? Man, as you're talking about, you see this I'm dealing with right now? I know, Bob. I told this dude that I need to check this out. Tell his life team to have to go make entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about all these lawsuits though, Pop. None of them G shit. I ain't worth nothing. Ain't got shit in my name anyway. Don't even worry about it. Put your money hungry. You don't let them have any little fun, but I'm still gonna have the last laugh.
This is a dangerous man. That's all I can say, y'all. Danger zone. Yeah, he's a scary individual. Scary individual. Scary. Do y'all remember when he played the Joker? This is your boy Diddy playing the Joker. Let's see. Here he is.
I don't want to live 9 to 5, paycheck to pay. Pussy. Yeah. Boy, you, nigga. Yeah, him. Just I said that. Yeah. Trying to get to it, bitch. What the fuck you telling me to have me? You would never, you would have this one. You don't stop it. For some shit. Nah, hey, keep it pimping. Hey, you don't never talk like that, nigga. I love, nigga. I don't think that you really. We're about to put blah, blah. Yes, yes. I can't digest it. Stand up. Joker don't play that, baby. I know you are my favorite rapper in the world. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm here. Put the car. About that. You got keep that shit macking, man. Take it off my head. He want to hurt you later. Here. So what don't do it for this crowd. Don't do it for this crowd. Don't do it for this crowd. Do you know who I am? Oh, what? Do you know who I am? It's all love, bro. It's all love, bro. Yo, bro. It's all love. Give me a hug, though.
Mm. Yo, I'm going to close it off like that. This individual is a psycho, a lunatic, and very dangerous. And right now, the judge is trying to determine if they're going to give him bail. And we shall find out this coming week if his bail is going to be granted. Let's just say that people that are truly victimized and have been victims, I hope they remain safe. I hope we all remain safe. It has been alleged that people that are covering his content, he is sending people to people's houses, to people's doors. It is very dangerous out here. And if they care anything about the public people, the innocent people, then they will do what they need to do to protect the people. And they will do what they need to do to protect innocent children that have been trafficked in this industry. And this is not a game, it's not a joke. And just going to say, continue everybody to walk in your divinity. You all stay blessed. I am signing out. Until next time, you all take care.